stuff off the outside. Then we flip it. This right here, this is a brisket muscle. This is where the brisket bumps into the shoulder. All right?
I'm Jewish right now.
I mean Jewish food.
That's the brisket muscle. Then what? What are you going to do with this? What's your fat to lean ratio for hamburger?
20.
Good. Then you're going to take off what's known as the top blade. That's this section here. Top blade. Top blade can be cooked as a braise, or it can be made into a flat iron steak. Ever hear of flat iron steak before?
Yeah.
All right, this is where it comes from. So you're going to peel this down like so. Separate it. You braise this thing, I believe, in Culinary Fundamentals.
Yeah.
So you're going to take this down like so. There's a natural seam all the way to the table. If you cannot find the seam, then you will find me, and then I will show you. Do not just cut willy-nilly. And then we're going to cut this off like so, straight down. That's the top blade. All right? We're going to leave most of the connective on the outside of this. Why? How are we going to cook it?
Braise.
Braise, so that stuff will melt down, right? And then on this side, we're going to take this off. What is this? That's bone connective tissue, so you need to take that off. That's tough, but I'll leave that for whoever gets this one. All right. Then we have this. There's a muscle structure here that really has no name. So what do I call it? The no name. Take off this no name section. It's multiple muscles together, so it's usable trim. And what we have left, so usable trim gets like this. Just chunk it up. Usable trim doesn't have to be too fancy, does it? Chunk it into like 4 or 5 pieces. Done it. Cool. All right, now this is what we call the heart of the clod. And the clod heart is one solid piece. It's got a big collagen that runs through the middle of it. In some supermarkets, I see it sold as a London broil type steak. It's really not the worst steak in the world, but for most restaurant settings, that would be a difficult sell. So I'm going to say it's more of a braise. Right? That's the clod heart right there. How did we get to this point? What did I do first?
Remove the.
I trimmed the fat off, the bottom. Then what?
Separate the muscles.
Then I took off the brisket corner piece. Then I took off the top blade. Then I took off the no name. And now I'm going to divide it into 3 roasts. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Before you cut yours out there, make sure that I look at it. I want them nice and parallel cut and about the same size when we're done. Take that little point off. And now we have 3 nice braising roasts. All right? So that's the shoulder clod broken down into its parts. Everything you see here, these are all going to be braised. And we have one more cut, and that's going to be the top round. And this is used for what? Slicing roast beef. All right? So we're going to identify the top round by placing a little bit of fat on the cuts, so that when the cryovac team gets them, they know which ones are the top rounds. We're going to try and keep these separate. What do we call it when we layer fat over the outside?
Farting.
Farting. So this makes a nice fat, this clear, clean fat on the outside of this. We use that for barding. All right. I'll take the rest down. Top rounds you can buy as a drop cut, which means not trimmed at all. Pretty basic cut. Or you can buy it down to 1/4 inch trim, pre-trimmed product. Or you can buy what we call soft side off. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to make it soft side off. And then you can also buy it as cap off. So there's a lot of different variations when you buy the top round. Comes to a little point here. You block that off. See, there's a cap that sits on the outside of it, which is fairly tender actually. So we're going to leave it attached. But you could take it off if you needed a more solid slice, or you're going to cut it into London broil steak, you might take it off. Top side clean. We'll flip it over. Get this connective off of here. On the bottom side, we have a couple of these extra muscles where it was attached to the H-bone. Alright, some extra trim pieces. And then you have the soft side, and this little line here indicates where the soft side muscle sits. So we cut in like that. There's the soft side. And then we cut down to the table like so. Straight down. I'm going to clean out this little bit of fat. And then hidden right in here is a blood vessel that runs through. See that little blood vessel right through there? I open that up. There it is. Imagine that in the inside of your slice. Who's coming through the buffet line?
Little old lady.
Yes, again.
And
Is that when you cut your steak open after it's cooked and there's like a little circle in it?
Yeah, that's it. And you're like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, that's a blood vessel. What a load of crap. Now you've got a nicely trimmed top round that's ready for a slicing roast beef. You roast that off, you've got beautiful slicing roast beef. Multiple portions. You know, you've got a luncheon menu with a nice hearty roast beef with a artisan roll and some horseradish mayonnaise and some romaine lettuce and tomato, right? Nice sandwich. That's going to go over really well. Or you're doing platters where meats are laid out. You know, some places do that stuff. It's wonderful. It's perfect. It's a lot. And it's relatively inexpensive. You know, it's not a really expensive cut.